All right. Hello, and welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today, I will not be tripping up on my words like I just did. I will be presenting you with an awesome topic, which is going to be what exactly does lifting heavy mean? We hear it a lot now, and in a good way. I'm glad that this is a center of conversation, especially when it comes to women, especially those in midlife. There's a lot of focus around getting into the weights and understanding heavy lifting, but like everything, there's a lot of muddying the waters with people trying to sell protocols and tell you false information because they're trying to be different. So I'm going to give you what the evidence tells us and what actually gets results that I've been using for years and years with clients that I know for a damn fact they actually work. So let's get into it. Just kidding. First, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening so that way you don't miss another episode. Now we can get into it. All right, let's go. Okay. So when it comes to lifting heavy, what exactly does that mean? All right, well, let's start off with what it doesn't mean. Okay, it doesn't mean just using weights, because just using weights doesn't do a damn thing. That would be like expecting yourself to get strong while lifting the same groceries week after week after week. It's like, all right, your body's used to this. It doesn't really need to adapt. Why would it? And then it also doesn't mean stopping when you're tired. Okay. You need to hit a certain point to be able to send that signal to your body that it's time to build some muscle, build some bone, and do the things that strength training gets us, like get those positive things that we're chasing. So when you feel that first burn, when you feel a little bit tired, that's not the time to stop. And in the beginning, I'll admit, you can stop there in the very, very beginning and still get a lot of benefit, but that doesn't last very long. That's a recipe for a quick plateau. So we're going to talk about what to do to keep making progress rather than just go get a little bit of success and then your body just kind of quits on you. It does not mean lifting the same weights or reps, because if you pick that same 15-pound dumbbell over and over again every single class for the exact same time or the exact same amount of reps, your body's used to it. You're not getting any benefit from that weight. You're just showing up to class and maintaining, which honestly, not a bad thing. Maintaining is a huge, huge thing as well. But if you're trying to build more muscle and more bone, then that's just not going to do it. So let's get away from those 15 pounders and start getting a little bit heavier. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that in just a sec. Um, and also, we want to get away from the idea that this many reps with this much weight equals this result. You see a lot of this crap on social media. If you do this specific weight for this specific amount of repetitions, you're going to get toned. You're going to get awesome glutes. You're going to get X, Y, and Z. And that's just not how it works. Everybody is different. Everybody is at a different place with their fitness and with their bodies, where you need to adjust for what you need based on effort and execution. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, plain and simple, we need to start adding weight and repetitions. So the way that we do that is by going to the point where we can't go anymore or stopping just short of that. So there's this magical spot called technical failure. So technical failure is not what you see a lot on these bodybuilding videos and these videos of old time gyms where they're just grunting and going way past the point where they're able to, where their buddy is helping them lift the weight, where they're pushing past failure. That's not technical failure. Technical failure is you keep really, really good form, but eventually your muscles just say, hey, I got nothing left, and you stop right there. So it's a really easy way to tell what technical failure is with a bicep curl, for example. So say you are doing bicep curls and your elbow is bending, but your upper arm really isn't moving. It's glued to your side. You're going up and down, and you hit a point where your body says, we need a little bit of help here. So then you get a little momentum from your hips, or maybe you try and generate it another way, but you know your form is not on point like it was for the first few reps. That would be where you stop. That's called technical failure, because you can't do another rep without breaking good form. And this exists on a spectrum. There's no like black and white, good, bad form. And honestly, getting one or two of those reps is not the end of the world. But we want to be conscious about the fact that, hey, is my muscle contracting what's getting this up, or am I cheating it a little bit to get it up? And like I said, not the end of the world, but let's be conscious of it. And it can help to do that, like with the bicep thing I just talked about, but also pretty much on any other exercise, as long as we're not experiencing joint pain from too many reps or too heavy of weight. And that, when I say joint pain, I mean literally like in the knee, in the shoulder, in the elbow, something like that. If you're feeling it in the muscle belly, like that midpoint where it's clearly the muscle between the joints, then that's fine. The burn is okay. It's not going to kill you. Um, but reminds me of what I used to put in clients' programs back a few years ago, where I used to put a little plus sign at the very last set where I'd say, okay, you're going to do 5 reps, and then 5 plus. And they knew that plus meant just go for broke. Okay. On that final set, do as many as you can. And a lot of times people would be doing, say, goblet squats, for example, with like 20 pounds, and they would do it for the first 5, then the second 5. And then when they hit that plus, it would be, they did 30. Okay. Now, clearly, those first 2 were not getting any kind of stimulus, because if you can do 30 repetitions with the same weight and you're stopping at 5, that's just nowhere near where we need it to be. But this is a good learning tool, because you could say, hey, I'm stronger than I think I am. And if that's the case, add a little bit of weight. And then eventually you get to the point where you get very familiar with what failure feels like. And then when you get to that intermediate or advanced level, which I'm going to talk about in the next podcast. So stay tuned for the next one coming up Thursday. But when you're in that intermediate/advanced area, that's where you go 1 to 2 reps shy of failure, because you know where that is. And you're like, okay, I'm going to stop right here where I need to. And that's plenty of stimulus to get what you want without completely crushing yourself and really hurting your recovery in the process. And at the end of the day, the goal is to just create enough tension to create a stressor that results in an adaptation with it, assuming that we're getting enough rest and recovery. And what I mean by that is, when we're creating this tension, it's from the weights and the reps, or the weight and the time, or basically how hard we can make it. Like, the individual reps when it comes to muscle building just really does not matter. You can go very, very high. What matters is how close you are to failure based on the weight that you picked. So this whole argument of, do I do lightweight with high reps or low reps with high weight? It should always be heavy, always, across the board. But just know that you can't use as much weight to do 30 repetitions as you can for 5 if you're hitting close to failure. And that's where light versus heavy comes from. But at the end of the day, those last few reps, they kind of all feel the same. It's like, holy hell, is this done yet? Okay. And when those last few reps are super duper slow, but you're still keeping the form, that's where the growth happens. That's where we build the muscle and the bone. All right. So how do we get there? That's the real thing. Like, what exactly does this look like in practice? Well, lately, I've been loving what I call the rule of 5. So basically what happens is, I do 3 sets per exercise with my clients. And I'm telling you, 3 sets, 2 to 3 times a week, full body, chef's kiss. Like, it's incredible. People aren't super duper sore. They get strong consistently. They build muscle, and they feel really, really good. So I'm a big fan. When it comes to the rule of 5, basically with these 3 sets, I say, okay, let's go back and check what we did last time. So if you're not recording your weights already, this is your sign. Go start doing that. Record what you did last time so you can hold yourself accountable and use heavy enough weights. So what I tell them is, okay, look at your second and third set. So if we were able to, I make all the repetitions 10 for the same reason I told you before, because the reps don't really matter. It's how close can we get to failure. So we look at these reps and say, okay, I got 20 pounds for 10 repetitions on the second set. And on the third set, I got 25 pounds for 10 repetitions. Awesome. So now your first set is going to be the second set from last time. So we're going to start on 20, do that for 10 because we know you can, then do 25 for 10, which we already know you can still do that. And then on that second set where you're using that extra weight, you ask yourself, okay, rule of 5, I'm either going to add 5 pounds and get at least 5 repetitions, or I'm going to add 5 repetitions. So you have the option. So let's say you did 25 pounds on this second set and you're like, wow, maybe I could get 1 more out of that. Cool. Just go for 5 more reps. And then when you do 25 and you get, say, 11 or 12, that's awesome. Stay there. And then next time, try and get 13. Then next time, try and get 14 reps. Then next time, try and get 15 reps and do it that way. Or you say, yeah, I think I could do 5 more pounds for at least 5 repetitions, which, just spoiler alert, if you can get 10 repetitions on something and you add 5 pounds, you can almost always get at least 5 repetitions with 5 more pounds. So it really is proving to yourself that, hey, you can do this. So you add that 5 pounds, you say, I'm going to get at least 5 repetitions. And then the rest are what I call bonus points. It's like, let's aim for 5. And then if you can keep going, keep going. Try to get that 10, try to go for 15. Like, get to that point where you are hitting close to failure. And you just ride that week after week after week. We're either increasing by 5 pounds or increasing by 5 reps, or getting close to that by increasing like 1 or 2 repetitions. And what that does is it creates these micro progressions, these micro adaptations where you're getting just one more rep, or 5 more pounds, and your body is able to adapt over time. And especially in the 40 plus crowd, this is so, so important, because when you're younger, like when you're in your 20s, you could just throw 5 pounds on the bar and be like, okay, every single week, 5 more pounds, 5 more pounds, 5 more pounds, and you get really strong really fast. But as you get older, the ability to recover fast enough to do that becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So the likelihood of that happening is very low. And if you just keep doing that and forcing it, that's where bad things happen, where you either hit a plateau because you just are out shooting or out kicking your coverage, and your coverage being your recovery, or you get injured because you're doing too much too fast too soon. So just something to keep in mind. Always want to keep that recovery at the forefront. You always want to listen to your body and not overdo it. And at the same time, you don't want to underdo it either. Like I said, I personally like 3 sets for 2 to 3 times per week. And if I have somebody 1 session a week, I'll usually push them to do like a 4th set, because 4 to 10 sets is like that minimum of this, especially in the beginning, will get you close to what we're going for. All right. Is it going to produce the same exact results as getting 10 sets or 15 sets or 20 sets? No. But based on your recovery, you might not even be able to handle that much. And if you're a normal person over the age of 40 with a ton of different stressors outside of the gym, chances are that's true for you. So you might get more from less sets, and it is awesome. There's really no downside. Yeah, and then other things to keep in mind too is this is one of the big glaring reasons with group sessions, like when you are doing a group class and you're doing so many rounds, so many sets, so many reps, like that can beat your body up a little bit. And that's why some people don't exactly respond well to group sessions. So you want to be conscious of that. And also, a lot of times these group sessions or these workouts, like sometimes this happens on workout DVDs, if you're old enough to remember those, or VHS tapes. I sound young to a lot of my clients where they're like, DVD, come on, like VHS and stuff like that. But anyway, bringing it back. A lot of programs that are high intensity, like P90X and all this other crap, they crank the volume up because they know that the quality and the amount of weight the quality of the movement and the amount of weight people use is probably not going to be the best. So volume makes up for that. But the downside is too much volume can create a lot of joint stress. So it ends up being a negative a lot of the times. And it also is a reason a lot of people burn out on programs like that. Um, yeah, and it also leads to early plateaus. So, all that being said, add that weight and reps when you are able to, when your body is capable of it. And if you find yourself stuck using something like the rule of 5, it's a really good time to take a hard look at your recovery. Take a look at your sleep, your nutrition, your hydration, all your stress management for other things. Like, are you doing a bunch of other exercise that is now impeding on your strength training, which will impede on the goal of muscle and bone growth? And if that's your number one goal, things need to change, and we got to balance the scales a little bit. Maybe not so much running or so much triathlete training or whatever else you're doing, high rocks, whatever you got going on. Like, you need to understand how much stress your body can handle in order to create the adaptation that you want, which is the whole reason that we're lifting heavy in the first place. All right. So next workout, next time you go into the gym, try that rule of 5. On that final set, like that second set going into your third, or third set going into your fourth, ask yourself, do I want to do 5 more pounds or 5 more reps? And then see what happens. And keep doing that. Just keep doing that. Or you could do the plus method at the end, like I mentioned before. Test yourself. See if you have been underloading at this point. Just on your final set, say, I'm just going to go for as many as possible. I'm not going to stop when it burns. I'm not going to stop when I get tired. I'm going to stop when my body physically cannot do another rep. Now, I apologize ahead of time. This is going to feel very tiring and very fatiguing, but it is going to prove a very important point. So I think the juice is worth the squeeze doing this once. Okay. Don't do it all the time. Just do it to the point where you're able to do this and recover from it, and go to that technical failure, and understand that week after week after week, that bar is going to continue to rise. Your body is going to get stronger. You are going to get more resilient. You're going to get better at these movements. So understand, to hit that point, you're not going to do the same reps for the same weights and expect it to do the same thing, like we talked about in the beginning. Like, you don't just add weights and say, oh, I lift heavier weights now, so this is going to take care of it. No, this is a never ending journey. Keep going heavier, keep doing more reps. And when you get to a point where you can't do that, then it's time to have some fun with the programming and say, you know what, I'm going to try this different variation because it's harder on the core, or I'm going to try this version, like maybe go into powerlifting or something like that if you want to. You don't need to, but you can, because at the end of the day, you don't need that much muscle to get a lot of the benefit that comes with having enough muscle, if you get what I'm saying. All right. So get to the point where you're strong, like to the point where you are the outlier in your friend group, where you can do a hike at the drop of a hat and not feel like death. You can pick up your grandkids and not have to worry about hurting your back or anything like that. And that's usually when you know, hey, I'm in a pretty good spot. So if you have any questions on that, always feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to talk more on this. As you can tell, I've been rambling for, God, it's dark now if anybody's watching on YouTube, but yeah, going on 15 minutes here. Crazy how dark it gets in North Carolina, how fast. But yeah, feel free to reach out. Email me, Brian at fit40coaching.com. And if you want to see what this is like in real time and you live near Greenville, North Carolina, where it is getting dark right about now, and you want to train with me in person, go ahead and click the link down below to set up a coaching consultation. Or if you're not in the area and you still want the experience of working out, we could do it over Zoom, or you could do online programming where I'll check your form and review your workouts and make sure you're actually pushing yourself. Then also click that link and set up a coaching consultation. We'll talk about it. We'll see what level is right for you based on your situation, what you got going on, and we'll have a great talk and figure it out. All right. So thank you so much for listening in. I will see you next time. But until then, go kick some ass. Later.